everyone, it's Dissonance. I'm casting a game live. It's on a modified version of Alcor that I made called Alcor 6v6/7v7HS. HS stands for Hemispheric spawns. However, this is a, oh, whoa. How did this happen? Okay. However, this is a 5v5 and not a 6v6 or 7v7. I'm just gonna check that the spawns are as intended. Yes, it seems that the teams are intact. So yeah, basically, all of our players were given a choice to spawn pretty much in the same hemisphere as their teammates, and all the players had one giant shared mega spawn that they could choose somewhere to spawn in. And it seems that just by coincidence they've all clustered in a direction, which makes this a very interesting game. So Fabric King is going to have a very open he's going to be able to expand like crazy here, and similarly some of the players on team 2 will also be able to do the same. I joined a little late because I had a bug which made it so I couldn't see things because I alt tapped, so I had to start recording a little late. Apologies for that. So yeah, well, let's introduce our players. Hosting this game right now we have Anonymous 2 in the black. He probably bought vehicle with a third vehicle factory. He's probably gonna go for a fourth and a fifth and then T2 bots or something. That's pretty standard for players on this type of map. Looks like he's fighting Bluetooth actually, who on the other hand went bought vehicle and has not started his third vehicle factory yet. But I expect something very similar between Bluetooth and Anon, judging from their openings. I think they're going to have very similar builds. Sundance, he is here in the TL. He's fighting against the Titan right now. He went bought vehicle, also seeing a pattern, eh? And the Titan, who he's fighting, pretty similar. He went double bot instead of so he did build a second bot factory, and he's kind of losing this front. I'm not gonna exactly claim that it's because he started the second bot factory. Might have something to do with maybe having this metal storage in his build order, and then also building the factories in parallel instead of in sequence, which has put him slightly behind. Normally it shouldn't be a problem, but because of the proximity of these two spawns, which the players did choose, yeah, this happened. So that's unfortunate for the Titan. But it looks like, I don't know. He might be able to make a comeback from here. On the other hand, it looks like Dark Mars is intervening here, and that could really be bad for the Titan. So Dark Mars is over here in the middle of his team. Really nice spawn for him, but it also means he doesn't have that much room to expand, so he's gonna have to expand through this direction. And he's taking advantage of his central spawn. I think he went bot vehicle, started a third vehicle factory, then also started an early T2 bot. So he'll probably be one of the first people in this game with T2 complete. Actually, oh, maybe not. And he's going to really be able to take advantage of that central spawn. On the other hand, Lamborghini here has been also kind of in a central spawn, and in response has actually started air fabs. And I think he went 3 air factories, and now he's building his first land factory. So this is he's actually a pretty good player. So this is just a really weird play, and he's, I guess, identified a quirk of like his spawn and the way his teammates and opponents have spawned. He's gonna try to contain Dark Mars here, which is really interesting. On the other hand, he's been offering a lot of air support here to the Titan, who is slowly rebuilding, but has not the best eco here. So, first player to reach T2, I think, was Fabric King, who took advantage of the fact that he didn't spawn near any opponents, and of course he's been spamming Fabbers. And on the other hand, it's gonna be I think he's just gonna rush to Titans. I believe that's why he has an orbital Fabber up. So I think we're gonna see an early Ares from him, maybe an early Zeus. If we're really lucky, we'll see an Atlas. Vehicle factor, that's interesting. So yeah, other players here. We have Bluetooth here, who actually is decently close to Fabric King. I think Fabric King wants to start... Oh, Fabric King's going to start spamming T1 vehicles, I think. He's just going to spam tons of ants and then try to intervene here in this Bluetooth versus Anonymous fight, where Bluetooth has taken advantage by... okay, so Bluetooth went to T2 bots after his second factory. He never went for the third factory. That's interesting. Well, on the other hand, an Anon went for T2 vehicles, as opposed to what I said. what I predicted he would do, which I predicted he would go for T2 bots. Although he did build about as many factors as I predicted. Alive in here, not low health, but he needs to move his commander back, because, I mean, there's T2 in the mix now. He's in the red here. I think he went bot, vehicle, T2 bots, and he's been fighting PA Anomaly, who I'm not familiar with, but is on my friends list and is pretty good, so I just don't know who this is at the moment, but I probably do know them. I just don't know who they are right now. They went bot, double vehicle, and T2 bots, seeing a pattern, eh? But it looks like, yeah, Liven actually going to take out some of this mechs on this side here. Titan has kind of shifted his base location, but it looks like he looks like he might lose some of it here. To Aliven's intervention here. Looks like Dartmars was intervening to help Aliven here on this front, and also to a lesser extent Anon. Looks like Fabriking is starting to move in here, and that is an Ares being worked on. I think this has broadcast. The fact that he did this with an orbital Fabber, though, has broadcast his location and basically said Fabriking is here. He's working on some kind of Titan, but I don't think the enemy has. I don't think Team 2 has scouted to see what type of Titan that is specifically. Looks like Bluetooth has been pinging Dan Haney, who I believe is the last player that I haven't introduced. He's in the white here. He went just bot, vehicle, T2 bots, and now working on T2 vehicles. He hasn't really pushed out the entire game. He has quite a large army. Really, if he pushed into Fabriking right now, it would devastate Fabriking, but he's just kind of sitting here defensively, and Bluetooth, I think, is a little pissed here because he wants to see Dan Haney do something. On the other hand, looks like Lamborghini is starting to produce. He has quite a nice little proxy base over here on the border of Fabriking's base now. And on the other hand, Dartmars is also beginning to stream units over to this side after recognizing the fact that Lamborghini is here. So yeah, we have quite a little bit of action on multiple fronts here. The Titan is still alive. PA Anomaly is still alive. Alive-In is still alive. But oh, looks like Anonymous is pushing in against Bluetooth here. Bluetooth is gonna survive this. He's gonna be fine. Bluetooth has gone really heavy with the T2. Oh my gosh! Look at that! All these surprise bombers coming in here. There's no anti-air in this army except for the single commander, and with this many, bombers, that takes out all the Fabbers here in Bluetooth's army. That could be temporarily crippling for Bluetooth and really give Anon some time to rebuild, because he's going to need that time because he lost his entire army. He's also starting air production here. Locusts being produced by Aliven. That's interesting. Liven and Dartmars pushing in together. I think two bombers over here taking advantage of the lack of AA. On the other hand, okay, here comes Dan Haney moving in against Fabriking. Fabriking has finished the Ares, though. Yeah, so I think Fabriking's eco. I think he just lost quite a bit of it, but he's not completely out of the game. He's lost some of his forward. He's lost all his forward vehicle factories, but he still has some others that haven't been producing over here that he can start produce. He can tell them to start producing, and of course he has all his Fabber base intact, and he has the Ares finished. So I think it's a little late from Dan Haney. Really, if he pushed a little earlier, he could have killed the Ares before it finished, and that would have just dealt a really big blow to Fabriking. It wouldn't have killed him, but it would have been really bad for Fabriking's team. So instead, Dan Haney is now pinging the Ares. He's saying, yeah, and Bluetooth is pinging it, saying, hey, I told you to attack. I'm pretty sure that's about what's going on in their team discussion right now. So I'm surprised we're still at 100% sim speed. I played this map 4v4 once. It was originally meant for 4v4 through 6v6, and when it was played as a 4v4, it went down to like 20% sim speed almost instantly. So it's really nice to see that this is still at 100% sim speed despite being on the normal servers. So it was originally meant. So yeah, that's why it was renamed to 6v6 7v7, because I was worried that as a 5v5 on the normal servers it just wouldn't work out. But it's working out though. On the other hand, mostly unsupported Ares coming in solo against. It doesn't have vision of Bluetooth's commander. Oh, it does have vision of Bluetooth's commander, but the factory is blocking the way of the shots. I was just I just saw a meme in one of the PA discords about using your building T2 factories to use them as meat shields for your T1 factories. This isn't quite the same, but it is using T2 factories as meat shields for your commanders, and well, it worked. Just a few locusts come in kind of late to the party, but yeah. On the other hand, Bluetooth's base is kind of gone. I mean, Anon's base is also mostly gone. Fabric King has lost parts of his base, but will be able to rebuild really easily due to all the fabrics he has. He's lost his Ares though, but he's just going to build another one. Okay, so how are other players doing? Dark Mars has been thriving, of course, because remember, he had to spawn in the center here, so he's been able to convert all his metal, like, really close to base into T2 metal, and of course those are drifters. That is weird. Don't know why Lamborghini's building drifters. Yeah, specifically drifters in combination of ants. There'd be a weird, slight justification to build drifters if he was just taking advantage of the speed, but when you build drifters like this, when you move drifters out with ants, you aren't taking advantage of their speed advantage, so, yeah. The Titan is still alive. Look at how his base has become aligned. This is actually something that often happens on Alcor, on this Hemispheric spawn version of Alcor. Players who spawn closer to the enemy wind up creating these strip bases, yeah, it's very interesting just to see on maps like this where you don't have any CSG what players' bases begin looking like. Dan Haney really pushing into Fabric King now, cancels this Ares at around probably 70% finished when it first started getting attacked, and yeah, this is really crippling to Fabric King. And yeah, Fabric King really could have avoided this, I think, but yeah. I do think that Team 2 is in an advantageous position now. Dan Haney's sitting at 670 eco. He's just been kind of untouched mostly, but partially due to his spawn, partially due to like his closest enemy being Fabric King, who did kind of devote everything, who played kind of in an interesting way. Setting up some pelters though as a defense and then evacuating his base. Yeah, he needs to get some storage and up ASAP so he can like continue to use his eco. But it looks like he's going to set more pelters up. But a lot of this army composition is T2 vehicle now. It might be better to just build some catapults further back. Looks like Anon is also building pelters with his Fabbers. It looks like Fabric King is moving further back. Hopefully he's going to start building catapults. Meanwhile, Anon has chased Bluetooth's commander quite a bit into the depths of Team 2's hemisphere here. We're at 80% sim speed now. Yeah, the sim speed's gonna start dropping. We're not on the community server. And we are live. Meanwhile, also, PA Anomaly is losing their base here to live in with a little support from Dark Mars. It looks like this commander is actually going to fall here, and that's the first casualty in this game. Bluetooth annihilated by Anonymous. Of course, Anonymous did not commit this feat by himself. There was a lot of... Bluetooth was really fighting multiple players at multiple points, partially due to Dan Haney's early game, like, passiveness. Looks like Anon also kind of invaded small parts of Dan Haney's back metal, but that doesn't really affect him too much. Although his commander was in a pretty curious position, actually. I mean, it's not a curious position in context of the fact that it's closest to the center of his team's hemisphere, but when Anon managed to get his army all the way into the center, then it became disturbing. Meanwhile, Anon, I don't think he sees this command. I don't know. He might have seen that commander earlier, but actually, it looks like I think Team 1 was aware of that commander because they are kind of pushing in that location, or maybe not. But yeah, we have a 3-player combined push here between Alive and Anonymous and Dark Mars. Meanwhile, how has Sundance been doing? I haven't really covered his front for a long time. Sundance getting a lot of support from Dark Mars right here, fighting against Titan. A lot of interesting unit streaming coming in here from Titan. But yeah, lots of different shades of blue here. Very confusing. Wombat continues to push in. Oh no, he's actually pushing in from a different angle now against Fabric King, who has started rebuilding his energy back here, but is kind of lacking in terms of metal now and really needs to rebuild his metal. Looks like Dan Haney is continuing to push over here. No anti-air in this army, though. And so Anonymous, with these bombers, is going to slowly take these down. Dan Haney, big army pushing in here to intercept, I guess, this combined push, which is kind of streaming in at different angles now. Dark Mars' units are just kind of paused here. Anons is coming in primarily against Lamborghini, and Alive In is streaming in against the Titan. Meanwhile, the Titan, really not too many units left on the field. If Dark Mars pushes in from this direction alongside maybe Sundance's support, I don't think the Titan will live much longer. Anon is also starting to move to... He's kind of strafing past Lamborghini's base and is kind of starting to move towards the Titan too. So, meanwhile, Dan Haney taking a page from Fabriking's book here and broadcasting, "Hello, I'm building a Titan." And in this case, very specifically, yet again an Ares. So, yeah. Lamborghini loses a T2 factor to this. Oof. Anomaly lost his metal storage, so now he's just on a couple energy plants, 3 fabs and a commander. He's effectively out of this game. And I think he might. Oh, he's giving up. He's running it. He's gonna try to kamikaze his commander right into Anonymous's levelers here. But he has to. Not today yet. Not yet. His commander's gonna live to see one more day of battle. But yeah, Dark Mars units kind of paused awkwardly outside the Titan's base, taking tons of sheller fire here. They really need to... Okay, he's pushing in now alongside some artillery from Dark Mars and from Sundance. Titan GG's is not sure if that's just going to be a GG and then fight to the death, or if that's going to be a delete. Doesn't look like he's going to delete though. Looks like he's just going to fight it out. Meanwhile, what happened to Lamborghini's commander? Okay, it's also moved back here. And it really looks like the last player on Team 2 is kind of untouched here is Dan Haney. He's sitting at 786 eco still. He's pushing in against Fabriking, but as his teammates collapse on this front, he's going to start being in trouble because all his forces are kind of concentrated on this side, kind of concentrated on fighting Fabriking, who has now rebuilt a lot of T1 vehicle plants and is also working on a nuke. Well, could be working on a nuke, but I don't think his eco is really conducive to finishing that nuke. Anon is actually supporting it with his commander now. But yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, Team 1 has definitely won this now. Although Dan Haney did temporarily make this, like when Dan Haney kind of went online again with his army, it kind of looks for a brief moment like Team 2 would have the advantage, but he wasn't quite able to completely take Fabriking out of the equation, and he's to this moment he's still trying to take Fabriking out of the equation, and Fabriking's just gonna like greatly diminished from what he used to have, but he's just gonna try to hold on. Actually, besides these four turrets are basically the only thing keeping Fabriking alive right now. But if he breaches this direction, okay, looks like air support is coming in from Dark Mars, who once again does have the central spawn, which is pretty good for turning into an air support like what Wombat did. A lot of these Kestrels are falling to the sheer amount of spinners in this army, though. I like this army composition: Infernos, spinners, levelers, and a couple shellers and ants. More air coming in, but there are still spinners in the fields. Wait, these are Wombats. Wombat has come in to support, and okay, that's a lot of commanders that have been spotted. I was gonna say, right before Dark Mars brought in the air, I was gonna say, if this army gets far enough, though, it's going to see these commanders, and it looks like it did get far enough despite the air intervention from Dark Mars. And there goes Fabric King, taking out by Dan Haney. But I don't think this is actually going to cause a domino effect though, because these levelers are not going to get far enough into Dark Mars's base to actually take out Dark Mars too. But on the other hand, the domino effect has ended in for Team 2. They've kind of restabilized here. Wombat kind of still kind of has some air control going on, and wow, this game has really shifted in balance. It's kind of stable again. This has been a pretty insane game. We're at 100% sim speed again. Fabric King and Bluetooth are dead. The other 8 players are still alive, 4 on both teams. This is absolutely insane. There were a couple moments when it looked like either team could fall like a pile of dominoes, but none of that sequential falling actually happened. And on the other hand though, Liven is now beginning another push in against Wombergini, and Ares here. And yeah, actually I don't know if Team 1 has a way to combat this Ares anymore, partially because Fabric King is dead, and Fabric King is pinging this now. He might be ghosting. But Anon needs to move his commander. Like, he needs to start moving it now. That's an Atlas. Why is he building Atlases? This is weird because Atlases are okay, as long as the Atlas never gets within the range of the Ares, it should be fine. But ooh, that's a Zeus. That's cool. And Manhattans, eh? That's interesting. Lamborghini's building Manhattans. But yeah, if this Atlas can get into this space, it can just completely destroy. On the other hand, I forgot about Sundance. He's kind of recovered since we've last looked at him, because he and Titan were locked into battle for a long time, and they both suffered quite a bit from those close spawns. But it looks like he's starting to get back online, although Wombat's not fighting him. Looks like Aliven's push is starting to make headway. I think it's okay, yeah. So Wombergini is pinging Anomaly to get out of there, but I think it's too late. Anomaly's gonna walk forwards. He is accepting of his imminent defeat, and he's okay. Wombat's gonna try to fight. He's gonna try to fight this air. Oh, the air is all stacked. But I mean, even despite that, just because of the sheer numerical advantage, Dark Mars's air was able to remain supreme there, and slowly this Atlas will demolish parts of this base. But I don't think it's going to get far enough. It's not going to get this far. Okay, Fabric King is... Fabric King needs to stop it. Yeah, this is teamwork right here. All this air support here. Oh, and now it's coming over to take out these pick off these Fabbers. If it can come over here, does Dark Mars see this? Dark Mars sees it. Oh, that's a juicy pick off right there. Look at all those Fabbers. And the Atlas finally collapses in that base. Takes out quite a bit though. But I hope Fabric King stops pinging commanders. 64% sim speed. Sundance has made headway into Titan's base and effectively taken out Titan. Meanwhile, Dark Mars ground force coming in on the other side, about to take out Titan's commander alongside portions of Dan Haney's base. And I think, yeah, it's just Wombat and Dan Haney left in this game now. But Wombat, although his eco is high, his production capacity has kind of fallen dramatically. And so yeah, I think Team 1 is in a strong advantage once again. On the other hand, Atlas, oh my gosh, the Atlas, oh yeah, the Atlas got in range of that. That was interesting. That doesn't happen very often. Normally, Atlases are not permitted to get in range to actually attack an Ares, but that happened. This game has brought a lot of pleasant surprises, I think, and I've had a lot of fun casting it so far. And I hope you guys have all enjoyed watching it too. Apologies if the audio balance might be a little off. But yeah, I don't know why he's been producing drifters. Like, I really don't understand why he's building drifters. So, if you do the math, a drifter costs 5/3 as much as a leveler. No, as an ant. Ants and drifters cost... so, ants and drifters have the same health. But then, drifters have like 5 more DPS, but cost 5/3 as much as ants. And, ooh. Is this... I don't think this is gonna work. Was that an Uber cannon? What? So theoretically, you think an ant, a drifter is like worth 1.05 ants because it has the same health and it has the same, and it has 5% more damage. No, actually, it doesn't have 5% more damage. It does 5 more damage, and total DPS is like. So it's, you think it's worth a little more than an ant, but that's actually not even. But the funny thing is, when drifters fire a lot slower. So the damage is more front-loaded. So if you put a drifter versus an ant 1v1, the drifter will shoot an ant twice in the time that it, and then after the second shot, the ant will have like 10 health remaining, and then the ant will shoot its third shot before the drifter shoots its third shot and kill the drifter. So, fun fact, drifters can't even win 1v1s versus ants despite costing 5/3 as much. TLDR, don't build drifters unless you want to abuse lava, like abuse the fact that they'll hover, or if you want to kill torpedo launchers in a naval map. We don't have lava on this map, we don't have naval on this map. And Wombat has been moving his drifters alongside ants, so he isn't even using their, he isn't even taking advantage of their slight speed advantage. So yeah, for absolutely no reason should he have ever built drifters this match. Like, really, he's just not been using them properly. Like, if you're gonna use drifters, at least use them for their speed advantage. Like, okay, I don't know what that was a Zeus. Yes, a Zeus without air support. Partially because Wombat's not been in a good position fabricating that Zeus, though, yeah. But yeah, slow collapse of Team 2. Like, they're still just barely holding on, but... oh yeah, I was just about to ask, what happened to Team 1's nuke? And then I remembered, oh yeah, Fabric King lost his commander. That's... Oh my... Why are there so many Atlases on the field? Why is Aliven building so many Atlases? This is bizarre. But these Atlases, since 2 of them are moving in from different angles at the same simultaneously, though, one of them might actually be able to get in range, but they might be able to. This one's got in range to attack something, so like attack a wall. Aliven needs to be careful about moving this army too close. That was a unit cannon, wasn't it? Looked like a unit cannon. On the other hand, also probably just a conventional attacks. Oh, never mind. Those were slammer. That was slam jam, not a unit cannon. The slam jam projectiles looked a tiny bit like a unit cannon shot being landing, and I was very surprised by that. But yeah, it was just slammers. Okay. So yeah, it's just. Okay, wait, so that was Wombergini dying. So it's just the Titan and Dan's... The Titan is basically producing nothing but boombots at this point. So it's just Dan. And, I think Vision of his commander has almost been secured. Oh, okay, that's Vision of his commander right there. It's actually in a rather undefended part of his base. And that was a delete, I think. That brings us back to 8. It brought us to 100% sim speed very temporarily. We're back at 80% now. But, wow, this was a pretty back and forth match. It was, like, honestly, it felt pretty close to me. The last 10 minutes, last 7 minutes maybe? Time is, I'm having trouble estimating how long it actually took because the sim speed was slow. But, ever since Team 1 had such a good recovery after Fabric King's death, so once it was shown that Fabricing's death wouldn't lead to a complete domino collapse of Team 1, ever since then it's been pretty clear, I think, that Team 1 has had an advantage. Like, right after that, Aliven threw a pretty significant push in, also threw an Atlas at the enemy team. Once that happened, I think it was pretty obvious that Team 1 was in a position to win this. But until then, it was really back and forth. There were a couple moments when I was like, oh yeah, Team 2 is clearly going to win this. Oh, Team 1 is going to clearly win this. And it was very confusing as to who had the real advantage here, who had a concrete advantage. But yeah, Team 1 did a really good job of recovering from the loss of Fabricing. And they didn't... On the other hand, if Dartmars hadn't sent his Air Force at that, I think, let's imagine his Air Force wasn't there, or that Wombat took it out right before it could intervene. And if Dan Haney's army was just a little larger, he would have taken out both Fabricing and Dartmars, and that could have changed the tide. And so I think I honestly believe this was an extremely close match. And yeah, like, and also a lot of these really close matches do result in these end games where you have like a 10-minute sequence of events where you know one team is going to win, but because the early game was so even, the losing party was able to build up so much that it just takes forever to actually finally corner them, to finally kill them. And so sometimes these long sequences where it's very clear who's actually won, sometimes they'll actually, like in this game, a sign that actually was a really close game before the sequence began. Yeah, and I think what really I believe that really the victory became very apparent after Dan Haney was unable to kill Dartmars in addition to Fabricing, and then Aliven sent an Atlas at the enemy team and picked off a surprisingly decent part of the infrastructure belonging to Team 0. And wow, what was that? Anonymous? Yeah, but wow, that was an insane game. I'm glad I got to cast that. Also glad to see that this map isn't always that this map is actually playable in 5v5 on the non-community servers. I might change the name of this map to Alcor 5v5 to 7v7 HS, because it's clear the 5v5 version works too. That reminds me that originally I was planning to make a whole series of this, so UFR was going to be 4v4 and 5v5 Hemispheric, and then Staccati's was going to be, I guess, 8v8, 9v9, 10v10 Hemispheric. But wow, that was an epic game. That was a pretty epic game. And I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I got to cast that, and I'm really glad I get to share this with all of you guys, because wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. This is the kind of reason I play PA. These back and forth matches, and really gets the adrenaline pumping.